We'll begin our practice today in a seated position on our mat. Any seated position that allows you to find length in your spine and length in your breath. We'll bring our ears over our shoulders over our hips. Get comfortable here for a few minutes as we start to begin the practice of noticing. Maybe one hand comes to rest on your belly and one hand comes to rest on the space around your heart. The practice of acknowledging how we're feeling in this moment. Begin by recognizing your breath. Maybe there's a certain quality or a pace or a rhythm that you notice. Maybe there's even a sound, the sound of the ocean. In and out through your nose, breathe deeply. In this way, we can begin to awaken and enliven our bodies and bring a mental focus and clarity into our day. Smooth out your breath. And then we'll take this breath awareness with us now. We bring our hands along the sides of our rib cage from the space between our hips and shoulders. And just recognize the movement of your breath. Maybe there's a rise and a fall. We'll take our inhale now to lift the arms overhead. Find your reach. And then take that exhale as you lower the elbows down towards the mat, bending them wide. Move with your breath. Looking for a rhythmic flow of our breath as we move. One more time like that. Maybe there's a little bit more space between the palms as you reach up overhead. As you bend the elbows, glide the shoulders down the length of your spine. Now you can continue in this way, or maybe next exhale, gently reach the arms out wide, maybe looking towards your right. We'll do that a couple times. Continuing to find our length in our spine, lengthen our breath, and the space around the heart. Feel that reach from palm to palm, expanding, creating more space with each breath. And then here we'll bring our hands together and glide your thumbs down your brow, lips, and meet at your heart space and pause for a breath. Maybe even setting an intention why you came to your practice today, so that you can return to this intention throughout your practice, throughout your day. Okay, we're going to face the front of our yoga mat and come into our tabletop position, our hands and our knees on our mat. And then we'll make way for our child's pose, our resting pose, knees out wide. Bring your big toes together to touch behind you. Start to bring your seat back towards the back of the mat as you reach your arms forward. Maybe you've got a yoga block or something you can use for support nearby to rest your forehead. Again, we notice how we're breathing. Maybe do a quick body scan here. If it feels more interesting to bring your seat closer to your heels, your forehead to lower onto the mat, you can. Maybe you're folding the arms in and resting your forehead. Again, notice how you're feeling, maybe the weight of your body against the earth beneath you. And we'll take this breath awareness with us now, letting this again be a practice of noticing, the practice of being aware of the quality of our breath and sensations within. You can take the arms to reach them out long in front of you on your mat. Take one more breath here in your resting child's pose. All right, we bring your breath awareness with you as you come up slowly to hands and knees once more. So we'll walk the knees back in, stacking hips over knees. Our toes, our heels, our knees are in one long line. The hands can walk one palm print forward, energizing the inner edges of the palms, root into the space between your forefinger and your thumb. Shoulders are just past the wrist. Now we tuck our toes under to press into our toes, press strongly into our hands, and begin to lift the knees up off the mat an inch or two. Stay here, breathe deeply. Feel the reach of your chest through the gate of the arms. Take one more inhale here. And then as you exhale, move into your first downward facing dog. Heels towards the mat, thighs reach back, let your head hang heavy. Now you can always position your feet a little closer or a little wider, maybe find a little bit more of a reach into the hands. Then again, bend the knees and let your head hang heavy. Look towards your toes. Maybe you're walking your dog, bending one knee at a time and pressing the opposite heel down towards the mat. Stay here. This is an optimal reach for the length of our spine. Keep your heels elevated. Keep the knees bent. Maybe there's even a little bend in the elbows, and if you'd like, you can move in a playful way. Pivot your heels to the right, bending both knees deeply. If you pivoted to the right, make sure you go in the opposite direction. Pivot the heels to the left, bend the knees. All right, guys, come back through center with the heels. We're going to take an inhale now to look forward toward our hands, and then exhale, press into the shelf of your toes and wave forward into your first high plank. Maybe lift your feet one at a time, stack your heels over the shelf of the toes, and then exhale, lower the knees, keeping the elbows hugging in, and come down to your belly. Untuck your toes, tops of the feet are flat. Maybe the hands are out a little wider. Come into your first cobra. Press into the hands, lift your chest, and then exhale and lower back down. You're leading with your heart. Again, imagine your arms are gates to press the chest through them. On the exhale, find length in the back of the neck, forehead lowers down. One more time like that. See if you can hug your elbows in toward you like the hood of a cobra. Okay, we press strongly into the hands, we tuck the toes, we inhale back up through hands and knees. Exhale, maybe you're staying here with your toes tucked under in an active child's pose. Notice how it feels to press into the hands, feel the reach into the soles of your feet. Hands come back down. Look forward toward them. Moving mindfully, inhale, lift the knees up off the mat. Exhale again, downward facing dog. Take your time to adjust your hands, your feet. Always looking to feel steady here in downward dog, and then head heavy. Imagine you're bringing your crown toward the space between your palms. Keep your gaze back towards the back of the mat or your toes. And again, playful movement might feel interesting. Just becoming aware of the breath. Now as we inhale, we look forward toward our hands. Exhale, take as many small steps as you need to walk your feet forward into your first standing forward fold. Once you're here, go ahead and position your feet a little wider and take a peek to see that your knees are pointing in the same direction as your toes. Bend your knees deeply. Maybe wrap your arms around the back of your legs. You're welcome to sway from heel to toe. Notice the weight beneath your feet. If you've got blocks, hands can rest on blocks for a little more support. Or perhaps you're bringing your hands to hold on to the sides of the arms or the elbows. Again, bend the knees and let your lower back surrender. You insist on locking your knees, you're really just locking your lower back in place. This is a tonic for the spine, head heavy. All right, guys, we're going to come up part way. Take an inhale, maybe hands on blocks, lift the chest. Your hands can always rest on your legs. Feel your alignment here of your shoulders and your hips. Take another breath here, chest forward through the reach of the arms, open-hearted. As you exhale, feel free to fold with the knees deeply bent, head hanging towards the space between each foot. Do that a couple times, finding your pace, your rhythm. Every time you take an inhale, maybe lift up and look forward, crown away from tailbone. Exhale, imagine your belly resting against your thighs as you fold. One more time like that. Okay. We're going to come up to stand, drag the feet out wide, reach the arms out wide, take a couple breaths to get here if you need to, and then meet your thumbs towards your brow, lips, and heart space. Pause here in Tadasana, mountain pose. Feet can be positioned closer or wider. Find an even stance. Maybe you're lifting your toes and spreading them out wide. Notice the energy in your feet. Shoulders roll up, back, and down. Draw this space forward into the area around the heart, back of head, shoulders, tailbone, even the back of your heels. Imagine you're pressing them into a wall behind you. Pause here. Shoulders again, soft away from ears. And then inhale, just like we did seated, take the arms overhead. Exhale, bend the elbows wide, shoulders glide down the spine. Root into your feet, rise to the reach of the arms. As you exhale, pull the belly in, navel towards spine. Rooting and rising. Again, you can continue to stay in this movement, lengthening. Maybe on your next exhale, reach the arms wide and look towards the right side of your mat. We'll move again with the breath, this time moving in the opposite direction. One more time in each direction. See if you can notice that you're actively pressing into your feet, your hips stay relatively stable. This is really a reach into the area around the upper back and chest. Reach wide through the expansion of your hands. Feel that reach into the space around the heart. Hands meet, thumbs glide down towards brow, lips, and heart. Maybe you're pausing here and reconnecting to your intention for showing up for yourself today. Breathing deeply, noticing. We'll take our inhale and reach the arms, reach the shoulders as well. Exhale, lead with your heart, pull the belly in for more stability and fold. Knees soft. Inhale, lift up halfway, hands slide up a little higher. And then on the exhale, you're welcome to again reach around for the back of the legs, grab your blocks, or take your first two fingers, your peace fingers, and hook them around your big toes. See if you can move again mindfully and rhythmically with your breath. Lift up partway on the inhale, look forward, reach your chest forward. But on the out breath, bend the elbows and the knees deeply. Root into your feet. Feel the energy around the space of your heart. And do that one more time. Again, rooting and rising, noticing how you're feeling with each breath. Okay, we'll come up halfway to re-extend the spine. Exhale, hands come down and step back 1 foot at a time. Meet again in your high plank. Maybe you're positioning your hands so shoulders are over the wrist, and then as you breathe out, lower the knees and lower your belly. Unhook your toes, press into your feet. Again, make the shape of a hooded cobra with those elbows hugging in as you lift up. Come back up mindfully, hands and knees. Now remember, the practice is about noticing. If you notice your breath feels forced or rushed, stay a little longer here in your child's pose. Your hands can come together and maybe meet the back of the chest, the space around the heart. Smooth out the breath. You can always come back down to this resting pose to regain the power of our breathing. If you want to, come back up slowly, mindfully by lifting knees and pressing back through the thighs, and see if you can stay for a few breaths here in downward facing dog. Maybe movement, maybe stillness. We're going to lower our knees now, come back to tabletop. You can lift up to the center of the palms onto your finger pads. Maybe you're using a block beneath your hands. We're going to take just our right foot out to the long side of the mat so that we can slowly heel toe our right foot forward. And then bend the knee and come into a low lunge. Stack the knee over the heel. Take a peek, toes and knees in the same direction. Lift the back knee for a moment to lengthen the back leg. An extra towel can be used as a cushion for that back knee. Chest forward. If it feels more useful to bring hands on blocks to do that, go ahead and position yourself here so that you can bring the chest through the gate of the arms. Stay here for a few breaths. You're not directly on the back knee or on the fleshy part right above the kneecap. You want to feel the reach, the stride in the back thigh. You can stay here or maybe reach your right forearm and then your left forearm onto the front thigh. Palms spin up. Notice the energy in your hands, your shoulders. Keep those elbows hugging in. And again, just stay here and notice how you're breathing and sensations. Send the breath to where you're feeling it. If you'd like to, you can find a deeper reach into that back thigh by lifting the left arm along the left ear. Hug your bicep in near the ear and just pause here. Feel that reach. Okay, we're going to bring our left hand back down to the mat slowly. You can bring it onto a block if you'd like. We're moving into our low lunge twist. Right hand to the outer right knee or thigh. Actively press the knee towards you as you reach your chest towards that right side. Feel the reach in the heart space. Breathe here. An option is to lift the back knee by tucking back toes. You can keep the hand on the outer thigh, keep hugging in, but reach out through that back heel. Or maybe reach the right arm up and again rotate the torso, the upper back. Perhaps even taking that right arm this time along the right ear. Stay for another breath here. Squeeze your inner thighs towards each other, towards the middle of the mat for more stability. And we're going to come out of that slowly, look down, replant the hands, maybe on blocks, and lower that back knee. Stay for one breath here in your low lunge, back knee on the mat, inhale. On the exhale, we'll shift our hips back towards the back edge of the mat. Walk your hands, maybe take your blocks with you a little closer, and then activate that front right foot. Lift the toes towards the ceiling. Maybe even rotate toes, the knee, the hip. You can slide the heel closer towards the front of the mat for more reach. Maybe you're repositioning the back knee towards the back of the mat for more reach. Inhale into this half monkey split, look forward. Exhale, keeping a bend in the front knee, fold. Do that a couple times. Imagine you're kicking out through the heel on the in-breath and then actively dragging the heel towards you on the out-breath. We're looking for the length in the front right leg. Maybe the hands are on blocks a little higher. You can set the blocks to what feels right for you. Stay here. You're always maintaining length in spine. Pull the belly in. Find a little bit more stability as you fold. One more breath here. Reaching in and out through the front leg. And then go ahead and bring it back to plant the foot. Rebend the knee. Or again in a runner's lunge. We're going to pause here. A runner's lunge is our traditional pose for pausing and moving slowly and mindfully in this vinyasa practice. You can always skip this next pose, maybe return to child's pose or downward dog, or how about you turn your feet now out to the long edge of the mat. Perhaps there's a block beneath the hands. As you take a moment to look at your feet, heel and toes line up. Maybe the toes turn in. We're going to be folding here in this wide stance forward fold. Inhale and again look forward. Exhale and fold. Maybe the top of the head comes towards the top of the block. You're welcome to reach the arms around the back of the legs or grab the sides of your ankles or feet. A couple breaths here. I recommend moving partway out of it on the in-breath, folding on the out-breath. Keep those knees soft the whole time. All right, guys, come out of that halfway. Look for length in the spine on the inhale now. And then we'll just look towards the front of the mat and return again to that runner's lunge. Again, it's our traditional way of moving in this practice, our transitional pose. Step back from runner's lunge to downward facing dog. Again, you can walk it out. Maybe this time bend the knees and wave forward to high plank. Always looking to stack shoulders over wrist. Pause. If you'd like to lower the knees, you can, or keep the knees lifted in your Chaturanga Dandasana. Flip over your feet one at a time and take your inhale now to upward facing dog. Exhale, maybe flip over the feet or use your knees to come back through to either child's pose or downward facing dog. Again, you can find playful movement, pivoting the heels from side to side if that feels good. Do the second side. Lower the knees. Hands can come up higher. Left leg, reach it out wide. Take as many steps as you need to come forward with the left foot. Stack the knee over the heel. Point the knee in the same direction as your toes. Extra cushion for a back knee is recommended. Use what you have. Blocks are nice if you've got them, but you can use what you have available, maybe a stack of books. This way we can lift a little higher with the chest forward through the reach of the arms. This is an option to stay right here. Feel the reach in that back right thigh this time. Maybe you're bringing your left arm and then your right arm onto your front thigh, palms spin up. Reaching out through the chest, the space around the heart. Notice your hands, your feet. If you want to, maybe you're reaching the right arm along right ear. Again, hug the bicep in near the ear. Stay a little longer in your breath. Hug your inner thighs together. Okay. Right hand lowers. And we'll come into our twist. Get nice and even in that back knee, reposition it if you need to. Left hand comes to the outer left thigh. Now if you've got your back knee on the mat, keep your hand on the outer thigh and again, hug the knee in and reach your chest towards the left. Perhaps you're lifting the back knee, and if you are doing that, you're welcome to reach your left arm up towards the sky. Make sure you press into your standing right palm to really rotate the upper back and torso. One more breath here. Maybe you're even taking your left arm along your left ear. And come out of that slowly back to our runner's lunge. Look down, replant the hands, maybe on blocks. Lower the back knee. Unhook the toes, inhale, chest forward. Exhale into your half monkey split. So this whole practice is about finding the reach in spine. We'll be bowing over our front leg, keeping our bend of the knee the whole time. Maybe rotate the toes, the heel, the hip from side to side. Again, find the reach in that front leg as we're going to fold over it. You can slide the heel further forward. Notice your tendencies. Are you gripping anywhere as you move with breath? See if you can soften your eyes and your jaw. The shoulders pulling back away from the ears. Last breath here. Kick out through the front heel. Inhale. drag the heel closer to you on that exhale. Okay. We'll come back with our front left foot onto the mat in a low lunge. Remember, you can absolutely skip that wide stance forward fold. You can come back again into the traditional transitional pose of our runner's lunge. Step back to child's or downward dog. Maybe turn your feet at the same time to face the long edge of the mat, the other side. Wide is sometimes nice, but not necessarily best. Turn the toes inward as you reposition your feet wide. Hands are on blocks as you take a moment to stack your shoulders in line with your hips, lift up halfway, and then exhale and fold. Remember, find your hand placement that works best for you. If you'd like, reach around for the back of the legs or outer ankles once more. Or, again, hook your first 2 fingers around your big toes, moving with the breath. I recommend it. Inhale, root into the feet and rise up. Exhale, bend the elbows and bend your knees as much as you need to find that length in your spine. Notice your tendencies here. Are you rolling into the inner or outer edges of your feet? Take one more breath here and really find an even weight distribution beneath each foot. Keep those knees soft. Pull the belly in as you fold. Okay, and come up with the hands in front of you, shoulders over wrist, lift halfway, inhale. Exhale, and we'll face the front of the mat once more. Turn your feet to do so. Back to your traditional transitional pose, runner's lunge. Mindful transitions. Pause here, look forward, and then exhale and step back. Left foot meets right. Walk your dog. Reposition hands and feet to feel steady. You can lower the knees or bend the knees, inhale, and wave forward, high plank. Again, decide if you're going to keep the knees lifted or lowered. As you exhale here, come down part way, and inhale here, cobra or upward facing dog. It's a back bend of your choice. Come back to your child's pose or downward dog if you're not here already. And then I invite you now to lower the knees if you're not in your child's and join in now. Child's pose, stay for a couple breaths. Recognize how you're feeling, the quality of your breathing. Let's come slowly back to tabletop. We're going to come now to our belly, walk the knees past the hips. Take your time to come here onto the mat. And then once you're here onto your belly, make some space beside you. We're going to take the arms out like a T shape. Taking a look at our right arm, you want your right wrist in line with the shoulder, maybe a little lower. Spin the palm up high towards the sky. Then look at your left hand and walk the palm in. And we're going to roll onto the outer right shoulder, outer right hip, right knee is bent, plant the foot. So left hand can come down and stay on the mat. You can decide if you're going to keep your shoulders lower. Maybe you're lifting them a little higher. You can lower the bottom ear. Maybe use your hand as a little cushion for that bottom ear. The idea is to feel that back of head, shoulders, and tailbone against the wall kind of feeling as we did when we were standing. If you'd like to take the left arm up, spin the palm away and reach the hand to the lower back, you can. Or find both hands to meet now. Maybe the hand's a little closer towards your feet. Shoulders roll away from the ears. Engage your whole body. Turn on part by part. Feel your belly rise and fall. Keep those shoulders away from the ears. Okay, we'll come out of this slowly. Left hand unwinds, reach out through both legs. Take your time to fold the arms in, and we'll pause here on our belly for a couple of breaths. Forehead can rest on the stack of your palms. And as you feel the breath rise and fall, the belly, chest, and shoulders, again, take a moment to scan and notice how you're feeling. Do that other side. Both arms reach out long, again, like a T shape. Left wrist in line with shoulder, maybe a little lower. You can spin the palm up. Look at your right hand and then bring the hand in near you, near the side of your body. Press into that and roll onto the left shoulder, left hip. Left knee bends, plant the feet. Again, just like when we were standing in Tadasana mountain pose, you want to feel the back of the head, shoulders, and tailbone press back. Maybe you're keeping the shoulders closer to the mat. You can decide what works for you. As modern humans, we often are slouched forward. So we want to feel the reach of our shoulders pull away from the ears. If you'd like to, take your left hand now over, or your right hand overhead. Spin the palm away and reach the hand back behind you. Again, play around and find what works best for you. Still press out strongly through your feet as though you're standing on the floor. Okay, you can interlace the hands and bring them further away like you're reaching your knuckles towards your toes. One more breath here. Feel the reach forward into your heart. Come out of that slowly. Release the hands if they were behind you. Come back out of that slowly, mindfully. We're going to rest once more on our bellies. Take your time to get here. Forehead can lower on the forearms or on your palms. Whole body feels alive with breath. Stay here if you'd like. Again, noticing the rise and fall of your belly, chest, and shoulders. If you'd like to, you can bend the knees and reach your heels toward the ceiling. Maybe roll out your ankles, pull your toes back and forth. It might feel nice for the lower back to gently rock your legs from side to side. Okay, feet come back down. Look forward, and then we're going to slide our forearms and our elbows onto the mat and come into our Sphinx pose. You can walk the elbows, the hands in a little closer. Press into the inner edges of the palms once more. Now feel your heart forward rather than the chin. Keep your gaze down towards the front, short edge of the mat. For the reach of your heart, for the reach of your belly. You can walk the hands out a little wider if you'd like. Maybe try this out. Lift your elbows, your forearms off the mat. Glue into your toenails, the tops of the feet. Feel the reach along the spine. Breathe deeply here. Feel the breath along the lower back. Keep the chin towards the chest. And then when you're ready to come out of that, do so slowly. If you did lift the elbows, the forearms, bring them slowly back down onto the mat. There's no rush to come out of the pose. Walk the hands closer to the sides of the rib cage, tuck your toes, and then we'll come back up. Child's pose here. Adjust yourself on your mat if you'd like to. Return to the rhythmic rise and fall of your breath. You can always decide if you'd like to reach your arms back, maybe the knees closer together. Stay here for a couple more breaths. Just noticing the victorious stretching of the breath, the spaces that move as you breathe. Okay, take a moment and come up slowly, upright. Maybe bring your hands again to your belly and space around your heart. Since this is an open level practice, we're going to move into a more heated sequence now, a balance challenge. Come back up to hands and knees and tabletop, hips over knees, shoulders just past the wrist. You absolutely can skip this part of the practice. You can stay in child's pose or downward facing dog. Maybe you're moving with me In downward dog, step the feet in closer together, bringing the inner edges of the feet together. And then lift on your next inhale, just your right leg towards the sky. Exhale, we're going to come into a runner's lunge. Any way you get here is fine. You can again lower both knees to step that right foot forward. Once you're here, the knee in line with the heel, knee forward in line with the toes. Maybe blocks beneath the hands. Okay, steady, steady, steady. Keep that knee forward, that back heel reaching back. You can pop the back foot in closer if you like to, maybe rock front to back. Stay here if you like, or again, bring your forearms onto the front thigh. Notice the energy in the hands. Weight distribution may be changed here. Reach into your front foot. Keep reaching through the back heel. Maybe inhale, reach into the arms along the ears. Exhale, keep leaning forward, but take the arms back. Next inhale, can you come up? Lift your crown skyward, lift your arms. Exhale, lean over front thigh, reach the arms back. Do it again. Again, energize into the feet. Squeeze your inner thighs. That's your foundation so that you can move mindfully, flow with the breath. You can stay here, or next exhale, how about you twist? Look towards the right, that bent right knee, arms reach out wide. Again, hug the inner thighs toward the middle of the mat. Reach out through the palms, maybe lift your chin slightly. One more breath here. Take the reach of the arms wide if you can. And then cartwheel the hands back to your blocks or on either side of that front right foot. Transitions are just as important as poses. Move from runner's lunge slowly to downward facing dog. You can choose your own adventure here. Lower the knees or come to your high plank. Pause, organize, decide if the knees will stay lifted or lowered. Find your back bend of choice, cobra or upward facing dog. We'll come back through to downward dog when you're ready, if you'd like to do that second side. Again, step the feet in a little closer, maybe together to touch. Inhale now, left leg. Three-legged dog, heel towards the sky. Exhale, hug in and step through left foot to runner's lunge. Remember, we're going to come up. It's a balance challenge. So even though you've got the knees stacked over the front heel, maybe you're popping the back foot in closer on the shelf of the toes and rocking front to back. You absolutely can skip this. You can stay here or lower the back knee. Maybe bring the forearms, left and then right, onto the front left thigh. Stay here if you'd like. Notice the energy in the hands, the feet. Or inhale, reach the arms along the ears. Keep leaning into it as you exhale, take the arms back. Inhale, can you come up to standing with the spine, the torso reaching skyward. Exhale, lean over front thigh, reach back, notice your weight distribution. Do it again. Arms along the ears, reach up, squeeze the palms in. Keep squeezing the inner thighs, hug in for stability. Now maybe stay here or open-hearted twist, reach to the left. Reach out through the hands. Feel that reach through the space around the heart. Keep hugging in through the thighs. One more breath, you got it. Back of head, shoulders and tailbone want to press back. And then come out of that slowly, unwind, cartwheel. Come back to your transitional pose, runner's lunge to downward facing dog. Notice how you're breathing and then make a decision. Are you going to lower the knees? Absolutely feel free to do so. It's your practice. Maybe the vinyasa is high plank to chaturanga. Maybe the knees are on the mat for more support. Cobra or upward facing dog, chest forward, gaze down. Feel the reach through the heart rather than the chin. You can again hug your chest over your thighs in child's pose to pause and again reconnect to the power of your breathing. You've got one more heat building sequence. Feel free to skip it. Maybe meet back in downward facing dog. Step the feet together. Reach into the palms. Inhale, right leg. Exhale, runner's lunge. Okay. Runner's lunge once more. We've been here several times. Get organized. Maybe pop that back left foot in and plant the heel. So maybe even a foot closer. The heel, the outer edge of the foot is planted, toes are forward. We want length in the front right leg. Hands on blocks maybe to lift the spine, the crown forward, stacking and aligning shoulders over hips, and then bow over front right leg. So again, we've been doing this the entire practice, always maintaining lengthened spine. But as you fold over front right leg, maintain a little bend in the knee. More muscles are activated with that knee slightly bent. And it's a less of a tension or any harm or risk into the knee. So again, maintain a little bend. One more time here, fold over front right leg. Okay, we're going to come up halfway to come into our revolved triangle. Left hand can walk further forward on a block, stacking the shoulder over the wrist. Here's a little trick. Take your right thumb and hook it onto your right hip. Press the hips back, but your chest forward. Your lower back should feel stable as you rotate now your chest, your belly, and rib cage to the right. Mostly feeling it in the upper back, lower back stays steady, steady, steady. Adjust if you need to with the hand. Maybe inhale, right arm toward the sky. You want to feel the reach of your crown away from your tailbone. Keep reaching strongly into each foot. Left hand can lower if that feels more interesting. Stay a couple more breaths. Again, we're rotating the torso, keeping the lower back steady. One more breath here. And then we're going to look down to come out of that. I'll offer you one more balance challenge for this sequence. You can use a block in front of that front right foot and then lift the left leg as though you're pressing your heel towards the wall behind you. Right hand can reach around to grab the back of the right calf. And then imagine the top of the head towards the top of the right foot. Keep a bend in the standing right knee. Stomp into it. And then we'll come back to runner's lunge. Transitional pose, mindfully step back to downward facing dog. Remember, we're moving slowly and mindfully. Lift your heart, open mind. Come back to your breath. When the breath is calm, the mind is calm. Second side, step feet in if you'd like to join. Inhale, left leg, three-legged dog. Exhale, runner's lunge with the left foot forward. Remember, we want to stack the knee, just to pause here and organize. But then pop that back right foot in significantly, maybe about a foot in, closer than it currently is. The outer pinky toe edge is planted. You want both toes, or both feet with all 10 toes forward, both hips facing forward. Inhale, lengthening the front leg, and then exhale, bow over the front left leg this time. Do that a couple times. Remember that the hips are maintaining their stability, they're squared forward. Just reach through the crown. As you exhale, imagine you're bringing the top of the head towards the top of that left foot. One more breath here. Okay, we're preparing for our triangle twist, or revolved triangle. Right hand can come further forward, maybe it stays on the block. Left thumb, remember your little trick, hook it around your left hip, press the hips back but your heart forward. You can keep your hand on your lower back as you rotate the shoulders, see if you can stack them as you look towards your left. You can stay with the hand on the back or inhale, reach the arm toward the sky. You can lower your right hand closer if that feels more interesting, more useful, for more space. Stay a couple breaths here. Really reach into your feet. Again, notice your tendencies. Are you rotating? Can you maintain an evenness? Rotation happens in the upper back and chest. Keep the hips stable. All right, guys, come out of that slowly. Again, you can skip this part of the practice. Stay in runner's lunge to downward facing dog. Or you're standing half split. You're pressing into your left foot this time, right leg reaches back. You don't have to lift it too high, just pressing it towards the wall behind you. Reaching around to grab the back of the left leg if you'd like. Again, stomp into the standing left foot. Still maintaining a bend. Feel the reach in the top of the left thigh, the hip. One last breath here. And then come back. Moving through your transitions. Each transition is just as important as the postures themselves. Decide what works for you. This is our last vinyasa through from high plank to chaturanga dandasana, cobra or upward facing dog. You can stay here. I invite you to come down to rest if you need to. Each day is a little different. How did you sleep last night? How much water did you drink the day before? These things matter. Yoga is asking you to show up and be authentic, to embrace what is happening with an open heart and an open mind. All right, guys, you can stay longer or move with me now back to table. We're going to come back down to our belly, walk the knees back behind the hips. And again, meet yourself on your belly. This time make some space in front of you, in front of your yoga mat. So we come back to our Egyptian Sphinx with the elbows, the forearms on the mat. Walk them in a little closer, still press strongly into the hands and into the tops of the feet. You're welcome to use a support here as we're going to stay a little longer. Maybe a block beneath the forehead. Chin can just hug in towards the chest. You want to feel the reach of the heart. Maybe there's a pool in the belly. Feel the reach in the lower back and all along the spine. Perhaps move with me. Right arm forward now. And then you're going to reach the left arm through, all the way through, past the elbow and onto the upper left arm bone. Spinning the left palm skyward. Try this out. Bring your forehead down rather than one cheek or the other. Back of head, shoulder blades lined up. And then rather than dumping into that left shoulder, find an evenness in left and right shoulders. Again, back of head, shoulder blades, tailbone, line up. See if you can soften where you might feel tension. Perhaps you're even softening your toes and your outer hips. Feel the reach into the arms, the shoulders, and all along the spine. Again, engage your whole body. Turn on part by part with your breath. When you're ready to come out of that, come back to your Sphinx. You can pause and rest, or we'll do the second side right away. We'll take the left arm forward, right arm threads under and through, all the way. Bring it past the elbow so that you're resting on the upper right arm bone. Again, meet your forehead closer to the mat. Maybe it's not meeting completely, maybe it's still staying lifted, and that's okay. Come into a neutral so that you can soften. Shoulders feel lined up rather than dumping into that right side. Does not have to touch down. Breathing deeply, where are you noticing tension? Can you send the breath to that area? Full body breath. Be yourself breathing. Last couple breaths here. If you find that you're gripping maybe your jaw or your eyes, this is a good time to notice and be aware, recognizing where you're holding tension. Maybe it's an unconscious tendency. The practice is to notice. We'll come back out of that. Maybe, again, lift the forearms, the elbows, the hands wide, and then come back down. Okay. Slide the hands close to the rib cage, tuck the toes, come up. Adjust your knees on your mat to a child's pose that feels good for you. They can be together or wider. Arms can reach forward or back. Can you find the length in your breath? Lengthen your spine. We'll come back up slowly. Maybe you're Finding a lift in your spine for a moment. Notice how it feels to be upright. Okay, we're going to come to seated. You can cross the ankles behind you or swing the legs out to the side. Any way you come to seated now is fine. Find a seat on your mat once more. Reach the arms back behind the hips to lean into them and reach the legs forward. Maybe wiggle your heels and toes for a moment. You may want to have a towel or blanket or a yoga mat for this next pose. Have them nearby just in case. Okay, we want our sitting bones on the mat, tailbone on the mat. We're going to bend just the right knee and bring the right foot to the inner left thigh. Left leg reaches out long. You can use your block or support beneath that right knee if you need to. Or slide the right foot beneath the left thigh and bring that right knee more forward towards the front of your yoga mat. The idea is to maintain the reach in that left leg, but maybe there's a support beneath the back of the left knee. Again, we want to keep a micro bend, even though we're looking for length. Hips are forward. Take a moment. Adjust. Stacking ears, shoulders, and hips. You can stay right here. Stay upright and breathe. Feel the lengthen spine, lengthen that front left leg. Or inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale and fold. Hands come down on either side of the front left leg. Now you may not come down too quickly right away, and that's okay. As long as you're feeling sensation, you're doing your practice. You're noticing and you're breathing. You can take your hands around the extended leg, maybe the ankle, or reach around to the back of the leg for a little bit more support. Now, just like we did when we were forward folding over our legs, same thing in seated. As you inhale, look forward, maybe beyond the front of the mat. Exhale, pull belly in, and top of the head comes towards the direction of the top of that left foot. A couple more breaths here. Should feel an evenness in the lower back. Maybe you want more reach in the arms. You can reach out and grab the side of the left foot or ankle. Maybe now that we've been here for a few breaths, you're finding more reach in the lower back. Keep pulling the belly in as you fold. Last breath here. Imagine someone is pulling your heart forward with the string. Lean into that. All right, guys, hands come down, lift the torso, come up, take a moment. Notice how you feel in your chest, your belly. Now, if you have no pain in your knees, try this out, little mini wild thing. Right hand comes behind you on the mat. We're going to reach out through the left leg and come onto that right knee. Lift your seat. Keep reaching out through the length of the leg and maybe take the left arm along the left ear. The more you press into the standing hand, the more you can lift your heart. Stay here. Feel the reach along the left side body. Maybe you're moving rhythmically. Keep pressing down with whatever's touching the earth to rise up. Feel the openness and space around your heart. All right, we're going to come out of that. Lower the seat, back to the mat. Chest forward, lean back, and reach out through the legs. Okay, heel toe your feet, find movement in the ankles. Little back bend here. Adjust your hands if you need to. Plant the feet on the mat, knees are bent. Feet are about hip distance apart. We're going to come up, lift your seat. You want to stack your knees over your heels, your shoulders over your wrists. Feel your hips align with your knees, your shoulders align with your hips if you can. Maybe look up, reaching your crown away from your tailbone. Imagine your knees, your thighs hugging in. One more breath here. Feel the reach along the spine. Come out of that, look forward and lower your seat. Reach out through the legs. Maybe roll out your wrist as you roll out your ankles. Second side, Janu Shirsasana, left knee bent, foot to the inside of the right thigh. You can use your block for left knee. Feel your hips forward, stacking ears, shoulders, and hips. Lengthen the sides of the body. Keep kicking out through the right heel, pull the toes back. Little micro bend in the knee. All right, guys, you can stay upright. It can be useful to do so. Maybe there's more of an energy as you reach forward and fold. Lower back, it's a nice stretch here, but keep your tailbone on the mat. Again, move rhythmically, kind of like that ocean-sounding breath. Wave with the breath, rise and fall. Your hands can reach for the leg or maybe around the back of that right knee. Pull the toes back. Heel presses away the whole time. These little subtle adjustments make a big difference. It's the little things that matter. It's not so much what you do, but how you do it. Are you again maintaining the fullness of your breath? The practice is to continue to find that breath awareness and to notice the whole time sensations, maybe even the thoughts that enter into the mind as you find your focus keeps coming back again and again to how you're breathing. Let go of those thoughts. Come back to the anchor of that breath, the one-pointed concentration of our breathing. You got it, guys. We'll come out of that slowly. Use your hands to lift the spine, the torso. Walk the hands back to you. Pause here. Okay, what I call mini wild thing, a great way to again find reach around the heart, space along the side of the body. If you have no knee pain, you can join in. Left palm comes back behind you. Press into it. That's what's going to lift you up here. Reach out through the extended right leg still, continuing to find that reach. And lift your seat all along the right side body. Include the reach of that right arm. Keep your heart more skyward if that feels good. And maybe you're waving again, rotating through that reach of the torso as you move with breath. We're finding our mindful movement, mindful breathing, mindfulness practice. We'll take one more inhale and exhale here and then slowly come back down with your seat. No rush to get here. Unwind, look forward, lengthen out through the legs. So again, it might feel really good to create that back bend. You can reverse your tabletop once more. Maybe you take a moment first to roll out wrists and ankles. Knees are bent. Feet are about hip distance. Or lengthen the legs once more, inner edges of the feet together, point the toes. You can reposition the angle of your hands as you reverse your plank, lift your seat here. Lengthen the entire body. Reach through the crown, feel the reach in your sternum, your heart. Lift through the reach of your hands, your feet. Feel that expansive breath all along the spine. Come forward by looking forward and then lowering the seat. Roll out wrists and ankles. Give a little love to those areas. They've worked hard for you today. Feet now onto the outer edges of the mat, and then we'll just drop the knees from side to side. So really notice the feet are not close together. Maybe you're even bringing them onto the floor or way onto the outer edges of the mat. That gives you some space. As you drop your knees from side to side, reach your shoulders in the opposite direction of your knees. It's going to feel really great along the spine. And then make some space on your mat. We're going to finish up the practice here. You might want to have a blocker support with you as you come all the way down to rest. Come all the way down. Maybe hug the knees in. Find your lower back on the mat, your tailbone rooting down. Maybe you're gently rocking from side to side as you hug your knees in. And grab the back of the thighs or the shin bones. And then let your feet come down onto the mat and take your hands to the back of your head. Imagine your head is like a weight or a stone and just let it rest heavy in your palms. Feel the reach in the back of the neck. Maybe your chin drops gently from side to side. All right, again, lower your head gently onto the mat. can rest here. Feel your shoulders, your hips on the mat. Nice support for the spine. Maybe again the feet out really wide, guys, onto the floor perhaps, or the outer edges of the mat. Then drop your knees to the right, both knees at the same time. A block can be great here for that right knee. Rest the block on the knee. The knee on the block. Maybe the outer right ankle on the outer left thigh. You notice your hips are a bit uneven, and that's okay. But your shoulders should be on the mat. Back of head should be on the mat. Chin skyward. You can rest your hands on your torso and close your eyes. Notice how you're feeling. If you'd like to, reach your left arm along your left ear. So that gives you a little bit more length through the left side body from the hip to the shoulder and beyond. See if you can stay here. Again, attend to the breath. What are your tendencies or habitual postural patterns? This is a great practice to get to know yourself a little better. If you like to move your block from beneath that right knee, you can. Stay a little longer. Eyes soft, jaw soft. Maybe you're noticing space around the heart, a little bit more space here to breathe. Come out of that super slowly. Release the outer ankle. Maybe your knees want to tent in, lean in toward one another and pause. Or, just like we did seated with the feet wide, knees bent, let them drop from side to side. You can do the second side. Feet wide, both knees drop to the left. A block can be useful to support the outer left knee. You can stay right here or let the outer left ankle rest on the outer right thigh. Again, notice the hips are a bit uneven, but the shoulders are even. Back of head on the mat. Rest your hands to wherever it feels good. Maybe the right arm reaches along the right ear. A little bit more length through the right side body. So even though the knees are dropped to the left, notice how this feels on the right side. Does this side feel different than the other side? We notice again our patterns. Maybe we hold ourselves in one specific way throughout the day. It's a great way to notice how we maybe hold ourselves in these unconscious patterns so that we can release tension and come back to a feeling of neutral, a feeling of harmony in the body. Stay a couple more breaths here if you can. Acknowledge how you're feeling. Then come out of the pose super slowly and mindfully. There's no rush. Again, you can stay. Find your lower back on the mat once more. Maybe find a little bit of rocking motion from side to side with the knees. Okay, we're going to end the practice now by hugging in, round and like a ball. Hug the knees in, lift your forehead towards your knees. See if you can stay here. Breathe in and maybe hold the inhale. Puff up the chest, feel your belly press against your thighs. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And release. Exhale. Reach the arms, the legs, and surrender here. Sink into the earth beneath you. Continue to scan your body. Find the fullness of your breath and rest. Keep coming back to your breath. Rest in full awareness.